Turkey's foreign ministry says the conviction of a Turkish banker by a U.S. court is an unprecedented intervention in Turkey's internal affairs. Former Halkbank executive Mehmet Hakan Atilla was found guilty on 5 counts, including bank fraud and conspiracy. He was acquitted of 1 charge of money laundering. Atilla was accused of helping Iran trade its oil and gas for gold to dodge U.S. sanctions. Now, Attila's defense attorney says they plan to appeal the decision.
I think that my client's trials are never perfect. This trial's not perfect. That's why we have appellate courts. But we're disappointed. But we know that, and Mr. Atilla obviously intends to continue to fight.
Well, Turkey's presidential spokesman has also spoken out against the verdict, saying the entire case was politically motivated.
This is a scandalous decision from a scandalous case. It has no meaning beyond that. It was obvious since the beginning that the case was a plot against Turkey to interfere in its domestic affairs and destabilize its internal politics. This is the staging of what is a shameful scenario for law. We're wondering how long the US administration will allow the Fethullah terror group to use its connections and networks to abuse the US judiciary system in its favor.
Well, TRT World correspondent Eddie Stianchin had been following the case from the courthouse. He explains why there are questions about the case's credibility.
In the U.S. judicial system, you have to have all of the 12 jurors to actually reach a consensus. And interestingly, they found him guilty on 5 out of the 6 charges that he was facing. And this, despite the fact that throughout the trial, I mean, I've been following it since the beginning, and it felt that actually a lot of the evidence that was put forward by the prosecution was being crashed by the defense counsel. I mean, to an extent that some of the phone calls that they argued Hakan Atilla had wasn't actually made. It turned out after a lot of the evidence was actually crashed by the defense counsel, even then we've seen a sign of confidence in Hakan Atilla. He agreed in a rare move to appear on the witness stand, and he availed himself to a cross-examination. He repeatedly made the point that if he felt he had done anything wrong with the US laws, he wouldn't on his own will travel to the country in the first place. I can tell you, with every single evidence that was put forward by the prosecution, there was an objection, because the point the defense counsel was making is that this 23-year-old police officer, Hüseyin Korkmaz, is part of a cult inside Turkey. Fethullah Gülen's terrorist organization, as Turkey would consider it, as they've played a role in the failed coup attempt here. They argued, or rather they questioned, how all of this sensitive evidence has been taken by this youngish police officer all the way to the United States. And added to that, all of these claims that he's been also paid by the FBI really created a controversy. And despite repeated motions by the defense counsel, they've really had almost no explanation or clarification regarding that evidence. So we understand that much of this appeal process will be based on the authentication of all this evidence that's been put forward.